the mirror you're not looking at. You're motivated. You have big dreams, clear goals, detailed plans. You work hard, take action, push yourself. But your income doesn't match your motivation. And you can't figure out why. Here's the truth that nobody's telling you. Money doesn't follow motivation. Money doesn't follow goals. Money doesn't even follow effort. Money follows self-trust. Your bank account is a mirror, and what it's reflecting isn't your ambition or your work ethic. It's showing you exactly how much you trust yourself. The number in your account right now is a precise measurement of your self-trust level. And until you understand this quantum wealth mirror, you'll keep working harder while wondering why the money doesn't come. Let me explain what I mean by money as a mirror of self-trust. Self-trust is the deep, embodied knowing that you can count on yourself, that you'll follow through on your commitments, that you'll handle whatever comes, that you're capable and reliable. It's different from self-confidence or self-esteem. Self-confidence is, I believe I can do this specific thing. Self-trust is, I know I've got my own back no matter what happens. And this distinction is crucial because money doesn't respond to confidence. Money responds to trust. Think about it. Who would you give money to? Someone who's motivated and confident but flaky and unreliable? Or someone who consistently does what they say they'll do, who follows through, who you can count on? Money flows to the second person, and the reason is trust. Money is energy, and energy flows where there's a stable, trustworthy container. If you don't trust yourself to handle money, to follow through on your commitments, to make good decisions, why would money flow to you? Your lack of self-trust creates an energetic signal that says, I'm not a safe place for money to land. Your self-trust level broadcasts a frequency, just like any other state of being. High self-trust broadcasts a frequency of stability, reliability, and worthiness. Low self-trust broadcasts a frequency of instability, unreliability, and unworthiness. The quantum field, the invisible intelligence that organizes reality, responds to these frequencies. It's not judging you. It's simply matching your external reality to your internal state. If your internal state says, I don't trust myself, your external reality will reflect that back as lack of money, opportunities, and support. This is why affirmations and visualization often fail. You're affirming, I am wealthy, while simultaneously not trusting yourself to follow through on the actions that would create wealth. You're visualizing abundance while not trusting yourself to handle it responsibly if it showed up. There's a fundamental incongruence between what you're trying to manifest and what you actually trust yourself to be and do. And the quantum field responds to what's real in you, not what you're pretending or hoping. The quantum wealth mirror works both ways. Your money situation reflects your self-trust, and your money situation also shapes your self-trust. If you're constantly breaking financial commitments to yourself, saying you'll save money and not doing it, saying you'll charge a certain rate and then discounting, saying you'll invest in yourself and then backing out, each broken promise erodes your self-trust. Your subconscious learns, we can't count on ourselves. We say things but don't follow through. And this eroded self-trust gets reflected back as financial struggle. Most people try to solve their money problems by learning more strategies, working harder, or thinking more positively. But these approaches don't address the root issue, the self-trust deficit. You can have the best strategy in the world, but if you don't trust yourself to execute it consistently, it won't work. You can work incredibly hard, but if you don't trust yourself to charge what you're worth or receive what you deserve, the hard work won't translate to income. You can think positively all day, but if you don't trust yourself to handle challenges and setbacks, the positivity is just a mask over deeper doubt. The revolutionary insight is this: building self-trust builds wealth. Not as a nice side benefit, but as a direct causal relationship. Every time you keep a commitment to yourself, you deposit into your self-trust account. Every time you follow through when it's difficult, you strengthen your self-trust muscle. Every time you choose integrity over convenience, you prove to yourself that you're trustworthy. And as your self-trust grows, your capacity to create and hold wealth grows proportionally. The quantum wealth mirror begins reflecting back a different reality, one of increasing abundance, opportunity, and financial stability. The anatomy of self-trust wealth. To understand how self-trust creates wealth, we need to break down the specific components of self-trust and see how each one directly impacts your financial reality. Self-trust isn't just one thing, it's a constellation of related capacities that together create the foundation for abundance. When these capacities are strong, money flows naturally. When they're weak, financial struggle is inevitable regardless of external circumstances. The first component is follow-through, the ability to do what you say you'll do, especially when no one is watching. Every time you tell yourself you're going to take a certain action and then you don't do it, you break trust with yourself. Your subconscious learns that your words don't mean anything, that you can't rely on yourself. This eroded trust shows up financially as inconsistent income, opportunities that fall through, and an inability to build momentum. Why? Because if you can't trust yourself to follow through, you can't make commitments that would lead to wealth, like consistent marketing, showing up for clients, or investing in growth. The second component is decisiveness, the capacity to make decisions without endless second-guessing or analysis paralysis. When you trust yourself, you can make decisions efficiently because you trust that, even if it's not the perfect decision, you'll handle whatever comes. When you don't trust yourself, every decision becomes agonizing because you don't believe in your ability to navigate the consequences. This indecisiveness kills wealth creation because opportunities have timing. While you're overanalyzing and second-guessing, the opportunity passes. Money flows to people who can decide and move, not to people who are perpetually stuck in deliberation. The third component is resilience, trusting yourself to handle challenges, setbacks, and failures without collapsing. If you don't trust yourself to recover from financial mistakes, you'll avoid any action that carries risk. You'll play small, undercharge, and stay in your comfort zone because stepping out feels too dangerous. But wealth requires calculated risk. It requires putting yourself out there, trying new things, potentially failing and learning. If your self-trust is too fragile to handle setbacks, you can't take the actions that lead to significant wealth. The fourth component is self-reliance, trusting yourself to figure things out, to learn what you need to learn, to find solutions to problems. When you have this trust, you don't need perfect knowledge or ideal circumstances before you act. You trust that you'll learn as you go, that you're resourceful enough to handle whatever arises. This self-reliance allows you to start before you're ready, to launch before it's perfect, to charge premium prices before you feel fully qualified. And these bold actions are what create wealth leaps. Without self-reliance, you're always waiting for external permission, validation, or perfect conditions that never come. The fifth component is boundary integrity, trusting yourself to uphold your boundaries, to say no to what doesn't serve you, to walk away from situations that compromise your values or worth. Every time you violate your own boundaries, accepting less than your worth, tolerating disrespect, staying in misaligned situations, you signal to yourself that you're not trustworthy to protect yourself. This creates a frequency of, "I don't value myself," which the quantum field reflects back as others not valuing you financially. Strong boundaries aren't just about self-respect, they're about self-trust. And money flows to people who trust themselves enough to maintain their boundaries. The sixth component is financial integrity, trusting yourself to handle money responsibly, to make wise decisions, to honor your financial commitments. If you have a history of financial irresponsibility, spending recklessly, not paying bills on time, making impulsive purchases, you've taught yourself that you can't be trusted with money. Why would more money come to someone who can't handle what they already have? Building financial integrity isn't about being perfect, it's about being trustworthy to yourself around money, which expands your capacity to receive and hold more. The seventh component is authenticity, trusting yourself to be genuine rather than performing or pretending. When you're constantly trying to be someone you're not, adopting personas, hiding parts of yourself, saying what you think people want to hear, you're signaling to yourself that who you really are isn't enough. This fundamental lack of trust in your authentic self creates a frequency of inadequacy that repels abundance. Money flows most easily to people who trust themselves enough to be authentic, because authenticity creates magnetic presence that attracts opportunities and connections. How self-trust erosion blocks wealth. Understanding how self-trust gets eroded helps you recognize the patterns in your own life that might be blocking your wealth. Most people don't realize they have a self-trust deficit because the erosion happened gradually, through thousands of small moments. But the impact on your financial reality is profound and measurable. Here's how the erosion happens and how it manifests as money blocks. The most common way self-trust erodes is through broken commitments to yourself. You say you're going to wake up at 6 a.m. and work on your business, but you hit snooze. You commit to reaching out to 10 potential clients, but you only reach out to 3. You promise yourself you'll stop undercharging, but you give a discount the moment someone hesitates. Each broken promise is a small betrayal. Your subconscious is keeping score, and the score says, we don't follow through. We can't trust ourselves. This shows up financially as inconsistent action that leads to inconsistent income. Self-trust also erodes through comparison and external validation seeking. When you constantly compare yourself to others or need external approval to feel okay about your choices, you're outsourcing your trust to other people. You're saying, I don't trust my own judgment, my own worthiness, my own path. This lack of internal trust creates an unstable frequency that repels wealth because wealth requires you to sometimes go against the crowd, to value yourself when others don't, to trust your vision when no one else sees it yet. If you can't trust yourself independent of external validation, you can't create unconventional wealth. Perfectionism is another major self-trust eroder disguised as high standards. Perfectionism is actually deep distrust of yourself to be worthy or successful unless everything is flawless. If I make a mistake, I can't trust myself to recover. If it's not perfect, people won't value me. This perfectionism keeps you from launching, from putting yourself out there, from charging what you're worth, all of which blocks wealth. The irony is that perfectionists are trying to build trust through perfection, but they're actually eroding trust by never allowing themselves to be imperfect and still okay. People-pleasing severely damages self-trust because every time you betray your own needs, desires, or boundaries to make others happy, you're telling yourself, other people's comfort is more important than my integrity. I can't be trusted to prioritize myself. This shows up financially as chronic undercharging, giving away too much free value, accepting low-paying clients to avoid disappointing them, and saying yes to opportunities that don't serve you financially. You're constantly choosing others' approval over your own financial well-being, which broadcasts a frequency of, I don't matter, and money responds accordingly. Past failures that weren't processed also erode self-trust. If you've experienced financial failures, a business that didn't work, an investment that lost money, a period of struggle, and you interpreted those experiences as evidence that you can't be trusted to succeed financially, that interpretation is now blocking your current wealth. You're holding on to past data as proof of present incapacity. But failure only erodes self-trust if you decide it does. Failure can also build self-trust if you frame it as, I trusted myself to take a risk, I learned from it, and I trust myself to apply those lessons going forward. Self-betrayal in non-financial areas also impacts your money. If you consistently betray yourself in relationships, staying in situations you know aren't right, in health, saying you'll exercise and not doing it, in personal development, buying courses you never complete, that pattern of self-betrayal creates an overall low self-trust frequency that impacts every area of your life, including money. Your subconscious doesn't compartmentalize. If you can't trust yourself to follow through in one area, it doubts your follow-through in all areas. Negative self-talk is a constant drip of self-trust erosion. Every time you tell yourself, I'm so stupid, I can't do anything right, I always mess things up, you're actively training yourself not to trust yourself. This inner dialogue creates a frequency of self-doubt that the quantum field mirrors back as circumstances that confirm your distrust. You literally manifest evidence that you can't be trusted, which reinforces the pattern. Breaking this cycle requires catching the negative self-talk and consciously choosing self-supportive language instead. Rebuilding self-trust to unlock wealth. Now let's talk about how to actually rebuild self-trust so that the quantum wealth mirror begins reflecting abundance instead of lack. This isn't a quick fix. Self-trust is built through consistent action over time. But the beautiful thing is that every action you take to build self-trust simultaneously builds wealth capacity. You're not doing separate work for self-trust and for wealth. They're the same work. The foundation of rebuilding self-trust is making and keeping small commitments to yourself. Start absurdly small. Commitments you know you can keep. Maybe it's making your bed every morning. Maybe it's drinking 8 glasses of water. Maybe it's writing for 10 minutes. The size of the commitment doesn't matter at first. What matters is that you say you'll do it and then you do it. Every kept commitment is a deposit into your self-trust account. Your subconscious starts learning, oh, when we say we'll do something, we actually do it. We're becoming trustworthy. As you consistently keep small commitments, gradually increase the challenge. Move from making your bed to taking a daily walk. From a daily walk to reaching out to one potential client. From one client to following through on a launch. You're building your follow-through muscle, and this muscle is what creates wealth. Because wealth comes from consistent action over time, and consistent action requires trusting yourself to show up day after day, even when it's hard, even when you don't feel like it, even when results aren't immediate. Practice decisive action with a self-trust frame. When faced with a decision, give yourself a reasonable time to consider it, maybe a day or a week, depending on significance, then make the decision and commit to it. Don't endlessly revisit or second-guess. Trust yourself that even if it's not the perfect choice, you'll handle whatever comes. This practice trains your brain that you're capable of making decisions and living with them, which builds the decisiveness required for wealth creation. Every time you honor your decisions instead of constantly changing course, you prove to yourself that you're trustworthy. Cultivate resilience by reframing failures and setbacks. When something doesn't work out financially, instead of, I can't be trusted to succeed, try, I trusted myself to take a risk. I learned valuable information. I trust myself to apply these lessons going forward. You're training yourself to see challenges as data, not as evidence of inadequacy. This resilience allows you to take bigger risks, which is necessary for bigger wealth. If you can trust yourself to handle failure, you can attempt success without the paralyzing fear that keeps you small. Strengthen boundaries as a self-trust practice. Every time you're tempted to say yes when you mean no, to accept less than you're worth, to tolerate mistreatment, pause. Ask yourself, what choice would build my self-trust right now? Then make that choice, even if it's uncomfortable. Every upheld boundary is you proving to yourself that you can be trusted to protect yourself. This shifts your frequency from I don't matter to I value myself, and money responds by showing up in forms that reflect that self-value. Financial integrity practices are crucial. Start small, pay your bills on time, track your spending, honor financial commitments, save even tiny amounts consistently. These actions build your trust that you can handle money responsibly, which expands your capacity to receive more. Your subconscious won't allow you to create wealth you don't trust yourself to manage. But as you demonstrate financial integrity in small ways, your capacity for larger amounts naturally expands. Practice authentic expression even when it's scary. Share your real opinions. Stop performing. Let people see the real you. Every act of authenticity is you trusting that who you really are is enough. This builds deep self-trust and creates magnetic presence that attracts wealth opportunities. People and money are drawn to authentic presence because it's rare and valuable in a world of pretending. Finally, practice self-compassion when you stumble. You will break commitments sometimes. You will make mistakes. The key is not perfection but response. When you mess up, instead of spiraling into self-criticism, which erodes trust, acknowledge it and recommit. I broke this commitment. That doesn't match who I'm becoming. I'm choosing differently going forward. This response builds trust. You're proving that even when you fall, you're committed to getting back up. Living as the person the money trusts. Once you've begun rebuilding self-trust and seeing it reflect in your financial reality, the practice becomes embodying the identity of someone who is deeply trustworthy, to themselves and therefore to money. This is when wealth becomes natural rather than effortful, when the quantum mirror consistently reflects abundance because your internal state has fundamentally shifted. Here's what living from self-trust wealth looks like. The first shift is that you become unreasonably reliable to yourself. Not perfect, reliable. You do what you say you'll do, even in small things, even when no one is watching. This reliability becomes your identity. You're not someone who talks about goals, you're someone who executes on commitments. This shift is palpable. Other people feel it. Opportunities come because people trust you to follow through. Money comes because you trust yourself to follow through. The quantum field mirrors your self-trust back as trustworthy circumstances. You develop unshakable decisiveness. You gather appropriate information, you make the best decision you can with what you know, and then you commit to that decision without endless second-guessing. You trust that you'll handle whatever consequences arise. This decisiveness allows you to move quickly on opportunities, to pivot when needed, to take calculated risks. Money flows at the speed of decision. When you can decide and move, you catch opportunities that others miss through hesitation. You hold boundaries like they're sacred because you understand that boundaries are how you prove to yourself that you value yourself. You don't accept less than your worth. You don't tolerate disrespect. You walk away from misaligned opportunities no matter how tempting. These boundaries aren't rigid or harsh, they're loving protection of your own well-being. And this boundary integrity broadcasts a frequency that attracts wealth in forms that respect and honor you. You've developed deep resilience that allows you to take bigger risks without the fear of devastation if things don't work out. You trust yourself to land on your feet, to learn from failures, to find the lesson and the next step. This resilience is what allows you to play at higher levels where the potential rewards, and yes, potential failures, are bigger. You can't create significant wealth from a place of fragility. Wealth requires resilience, and resilience requires self-trust. Your relationship with money becomes peaceful rather than anxious. You trust yourself to make wise decisions, to handle whatever comes, to create what you need. This doesn't mean you have unlimited money or never worry. It means you have a fundamental trust that you and money can work together, that you're capable of creating and managing wealth. This peace is attractive. It draws opportunities to you because people sense your stability. You notice that money shows up more easily and from unexpected sources. This is the quantum mirror reflecting your increased self-trust. The field is responding to your new frequency. I'm trustworthy, I'm capable, I'm reliable. By organizing circumstances that match that frequency, opportunities find you. People refer you. Money flows through channels you didn't orchestrate because the field trusts you as a stable container for abundance. You also notice that you can hold larger amounts of money without freaking out or immediately spending it. Your increased self-trust has expanded your wealth thermostat. You trust yourself to manage the money responsibly, so your nervous system doesn't go into panic mode when large amounts appear. You can receive without immediately sabotaging what you've received, which allows wealth to accumulate and compound. Perhaps most importantly, you've stopped looking outside yourself for validation or permission. You trust your own judgment, your own worthiness, your own path. This internal trust is magnetic. It creates a quality of centered power that attracts both people and money. You're no longer desperate for external approval, which paradoxically makes you more valuable in the marketplace. Living from self-trust wealth means your bank account and your self-trust are in a positive feedback loop. Your self-trust creates wealth. The wealth you create reinforces your self-trust, which allows you to create more wealth, which deepens your self-trust. You've aligned the inner and outer mirrors. What you trust yourself to be and do is reflected back in your financial reality. The quantum wealth mirror shows you the truth. Money doesn't follow motivation, strategy, or effort alone. Money follows self-trust. Build your self-trust through consistent, integrity-based action, and watch as the mirror reflects back a reality of increasing abundance. You're not chasing money anymore. You're becoming someone money trusts. And that makes all the difference.